Trap Politics TV, trappolitics.com. He is I, and I am him. It's your boy Rel, back again. There's been some very interesting topics in the news today. I figured I should just jump up on here and regulate the atmosphere a little bit. Sometimes when I get in my moods, I'm like, you know what, man, let me go live today. Let me go live. Let me talk about a few things. Let me get some shit off my chest because I feel like this is something I could talk about. You know what I'm saying? And these are just my thoughts. These are just my opinions. My views and opinions are completely separate from the platform trappolitics.com. Make sure to stop by, check out the website. I got some dope merch that I got on right now. Not the SB, but you know, you could get a nice fitted as well as some other dope, affordable things if you're all about supporting Black entrepreneurism and the betterment of the Black society in whole by doing your small donation in part by supporting your boy. So, because this is definitely going to be a Black show, we're definitely going to be touching on some issues about some things that, you know, that got a lot of people stirred up. But it's not going to be all drama and or tension. You know what I'm saying? We're all trying to at least, you know, be progressive with our point of views and whatnot. So, you know, yeah, man. So I appreciate all those who are watching on the rebroadcast and those who actually take time to actually stop through and see what's up, see what's happening, kicking it with the kid. Now, congratulations are in order for ASAP Rocky, a West Indian brethren, and Rihanna, also a West Indian sister, who decided to get together with this young man and conceive a child. So amidst of all the fakre, there is you know, some positivity out there, and yeah, shout out to them, man, for giving birth to a new legacy out here, man, a new branch on their family tree, man. You know, it's much obliged for what it's worth, you know what I'm saying? Because Black love is definitely appreciated when it's seen, you know? Black love is definitely something that should be celebrated, right? But then when the contraire pops up, people are like, oh man, it's like a thorn in the eye, you know what I'm saying? It's like a splinter in the eye that you're trying to take out, you know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, what is that? I gotta get that shit out. What is this interracial shit people are doing? I can't get a grasp. I can't get a grasp. So I say that to say that the good book talks about how, before you take the splinter out of the eye of your brother, worry about the rafter that's in your eyes, right? And I say that as well because, yo, man, I think like the animosity between the races when it comes down to like dating and whatnot is only convenient when they have like an easy target to express that type of shit. You know, I guess they try to like do that with Kevin Samuels when he died, to say, oh, he died in the midst of a Spanish woman. It wasn't a Black woman and shit like that, right? And there's some merit to that, you know what I'm saying? There is some value to that. There is, you know, a layer to that that's like, okay, yeah, he did advocate for this, but he ended up doing that in return. Is it more of a do as I say, not as I do type of thing that you were preaching, or was it really like along the lines of, hey, I'm doing it and you should follow me type of deal? You know what I mean? Which one was it? And a lot of people was confused when you know, the book was finally written and people was looking at it from that perspective, right? But an easy target today would be a kid, right? And when I say a kid, I'm talking about like when you see young people coming up dating interracially, like why would it be a topic of discussion when you're young? You have to experiment and date. You date around. When I was coming up, I dated everything, all races. I ain't saying I've dated everything. I've dated all races. I've dated an Asian chick at one point. I wasn't an Asian. I didn't date an Asian chick. Dabbled. Never dated an Asian chick. But I've dated Black, white, Spanish, Indian, West Indian, Haven't dated an African like from African chick, but I've dated everything but an Asian chick, right? And I think it gives the young mind a level of diversity, right? But I think the whole issue that people are like really trying to like talk about is the fact that this guy like Bronny at his young age is supposed to set an example for black love, and it's like it's like I don't know if you can really hold him up to that to such standards at a young age. You know what I'm saying? It's like, one, the culture that this kid grew up around, it's like you're not gonna really you're not really gonna see that. Now, I kind of speed past the whole thing, right? Because that's kind of what the whole issue is. The whole issue is about the fact that LeBron James' son was out here dating a white woman, taking a white woman to prom, and everybody was like, yo, there's a whole lot of black love going on in the family. Where did you go wrong? You didn't think that it was cool to take a black woman to prom? What's up with this with the snowball? What's up with that? Now, I live in a predominantly white neighborhood, right? When I was growing up anyways. When I went to school, there were very few black people. There were black people, but there weren't as much as maybe there is now. And coming from Brooklyn into the area that I'm living at now, like, the white women used to throw themselves at me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is exactly what the fuck I always wanted. Because when I was living in the cities, that shit was not happening as often as it happened when I came out here. Maybe because they were fetishizing black men, something like that. But the coochie gets tossed more when you're young, you're young, black, youthful. It's like, it's more readily available to you, and then you start getting older, and then certain things start to happen, and if you're not too careful, you might end up dropping a seed on one of these young snow bunnies, and now you're lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Now you gotta grow up with this attachment, this mistake that you probably made in high school when you really should have been wearing a rubber and this, that, the third, or whatever the case, or you should have been more careful, blah blah blah. I'm just saying, when you're young, your family is super successful, you will definitely become a target to a lot of these other women out there that are like looking to shoot their shot. I mean, when chicks are younger, they definitely shoot their shot, and I believe she definitely probably put it on him for him to make this decision to be like, I'm gonna fuck with you. But for people to scrutinize and criticize a kid's developing age, it's like, that's a little out of bounds. Now, maybe when he gets older, you could hold it against him, because that's what people did to Kevin Samuels and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? When he got older, they kind of been like, yo, how you doing this and passing out and with a Spanish broad around. You know what I'm saying? People kind of held him to a more higher standard, especially for what he was preaching and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to Bronny, though, it's like, man, I knew when I was growing up and the type of ass that was being thrown my way, I couldn't say no. Why would I say no? And me during that time, I was dusty and busty as a motherfucker. Like, who was me? I wasn't really all that dusty and busty back then. I had a job, you know what I'm saying? I was actually making a little bit of Skrilla. I was showing up to school, a little fly guy, you know what I'm saying? Pulled up to school one day in the Jag. No license plate, no inspection. The car was completely a piece of shit. But hey, you know what I'm saying? I pulled up in the Jag. I was the only nigga in the Jag in the school. You know what I'm saying? I got to flex up. But I wasn't like LeBron pulling up to prom in a Porsche. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. Let's really look at the bigger picture here, right? So I could only imagine the amount of ass being thrown in his direction. And in the school and the culture that he goes to, I'm pretty sure, like this one YouTuber, O'Shea, was talking about, there's probably not that much black people in that school anyways. Now, the flip side of that, right, will be to be like, yo, he should have been more in touch with, like, the black community in a way where he was more surrounded by black love, in a way that if he had to choose a prom date, it would have obviously been a black woman, because this is all that he's been surrounded by, this is all he's ever experienced. But if you're whole nature of interactions with society has always been with the uppity whites, then who else are you going to choose? You know, and a lot of things goes into play, and I feel like I'm kind of filtering myself. I'm not saying exactly what the fuck I want to say on the mic right now, because I definitely want to say some controversial ass shit, but I'm kind of holding back. You know what I mean? I really want to like say some type of wild shit, because at a certain point, right, when you're so super successful, these are the only type of people you sort of start to see. You only start seeing a ton of white people, because they have always controlled the atmosphere of the economic system, right? So when it comes down to like really enjoying the privilege and wealth that only a certain few is obligated to, and your children are born in that, this is all that they see. So how could they be like, oh, this, I want to choose this, when this is the lifestyle that I grew up in? You know, how could you give a kid like Lebron James' son a Honda to start off driving to go to school with, when all his kids are driving Ferraris and Bentleys and all these other different things, where he's pulling up in a Honda, but your dad is LeBron James? You know what I'm saying? It'll just look bad on him. So the environment and the culture that he grew up in, it's like, yo, why aren't you not dating this white chick over here, bro? She likes you, bro. Like, what's the matter with you, man? You're not part of our frat. You know, my dad's a rocket scientist, and your dad just entertains my rocket scientist dad on TV. You know, we have some type of connection. Why aren't you like hanging out with them? Why aren't you dating her, bro? It's my sister, bro. You know, like these type of pressures maybe is applied to this young black man. And sometimes I think about post-traumatic slave syndrome, if it really does run deep within the nature of our DNA, where we just feel like, hey, we have to sort of submit to the pressures of certain white economic standards in a way, you know. And again, my thoughts and point of views are just based on just me, you know, rationalizing. In other words, I'm pretty much talking to myself, and you guys are just here for the ride. And I appreciate y'all just, you know, I appreciate y'all just hearing me out as I rationalize my thoughts, as I separate everything, and I really start looking at it from a objective point of view, though. Because again, I kind of compare myself to these type of decisions that I may have had to make. Now, granted, on the scale of what he has to deal with is far greater than what I've had to deal with. But if I was put in those positions, how would I have made these decisions, right? And yeah, I say, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I was out here, and like I said, being in a predominantly white school, living in a predominantly white neighborhood, you know, we're not the richest of the richest, but we're in the middle class, which makes it even a little bit more like, yo, you know, I could kind of feel his sentiment a little bit. But the difference between me, though, and I don't know about Bronny's whole lifestyle, was when I was growing up in the inner cities, and the other half of my developmental years was in a very ethnic rich school, meaning it was completely black, no white people at all. Everything was black. The school was in Canarsie, PS22. That's the school I went to. When Cameron was like, yo, I could get your son out of PS22. He was talking about my school. And PS22 wasn't a... PS22 was a crazy ass school back in the day. But he was talking about my school when Cameron was talking about, I could get your son out of PS22. Yeah, it was, yo, a public school that a lot of kids went to. A lot of fights went out. But, you know, you went from the elementary, then you went to PS22. And then I went from PS22 to Brooklyn College. And all black, you know, and I like that shit. I grew appreciation for black women, a love. My first girl was black, you know what I'm saying? So who knows how Bronny's developmental years were in order for him to really be out here making decisions that are so acceptable to the black community. And again, too, who the fuck would really try to blame him anyways if he decides to make a different decision? Because when you're growing up in your younger years, you decide, you know, you want to test all the flavors in the ice cream store. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I want that one right there. I want that one. I want the sherbet too. I don't give up. Put it all together. I want the sherbet. I want that. I I want I want that shake. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was. And I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of men is. I mean, even to this day, you know, men like variety. So, you know, if at the end of the day he just said, you know what, I'm just going to take old vanilla, but just run with that. Is he wrong? Is he wrong? Because if all you've ever seen was vanilla, you know, how else would you ever really make a different decision when you've grown comfortable to just being like, yeah, I'll just do that? When it's been always socially acceptable, especially by your friends and family who are in power, you know, can't really be mad at them. And then on the flip side too, right? Like we try to like look at the fact that, yo, he should have been more, you know, receptive. But like if he gets older, right? Let's say he's at an older age. Because this is something that I really realize when you get older as well too, right? Those types of women, right? When you get to a certain age, it's like, how can I say this without sounding like I'm out here trying to bash women in general? Let me think. Give me a second, because I have to really frame this right. He's made the decision that he's made now. Nobody's saying that he's marrying this chick, right? But who's not to say that? And granted, he's a very successful individual, cool. So he's always going to have options, right? But if a person like myself was looking from the outside in, and it's like, well, he's not going to have to deal with what eventually happens to black males when they get older. You see, yeah, these girls are throwing themselves at you now when you're young, but the average black male, as they get older, the options definitely start to dwindle. You know, all these chicks grow out of their whole phases and shit like that. So they're not so open and receptive to just, you know, anyone and everyone, as well as the fact that a lot of the good ones are probably gone. You know, the slotty thotties already have kids and shit like that. So it's like, if you really start putting yourself out there, once you finally mature to find, you know, a chick, you start running into these walls where these women are not even so receptive to you. Granted, if you have game, yeah, you can run game and shit, and all that shit is cool and whatnot, but that openness from young is lost. That curiosity in being vulnerable and learning, and, you know, all that stuff goes out the window as you start getting older. So the average black man growing up, the options dwindle. So it's like, can you be mad at him though if when you start getting older and, you know, these somewhat other races of women are still throwing themselves at you? It's like, you know, because yeah, there's that whole dynamic of like, yo, you can't even, you know, approach certain types of women a certain way without, you know, almost getting shot at or something. You know what I'm saying? New York is known for that. You know, some of the hardest, some of the toughest thugs. How does it go? Some of the toughest thugs in New York are the women or some shit like that. Or a woman has some of the toughest women. New York has some of the toughest women. I forgot how the fucking thing goes, man. But either or, you know what I'm saying? It has been proven, it has been shown, it has been, you know, there are evidence of it. But yeah, man, you know, you don't really get the options available to you. You know what I'm saying? The pickings are very slim. And granted, if you live in a middle class neighborhood where it's been slim to begin with, and then what's really out there isn't really what you want to be out there, and all you're left with is picking from, you know, the remainders, it's like, you know, what are you really left with? What are you really left with? Think about it. What are you really left with? And that goes both ways too, you know. Don't just think that it's just a one-directional type of thing, even though I'm mainly focusing on that. Still though, what are you really left with if all you know, the options have already left or are taken, and then you go out to these clubs and these events, and then you're looking around and it's like, ugh. You know, nothing is really adding up, nothing is matching up. You're like, what the fuck is this about? You start to lose faith. You start to lose hope. You know, but there is a common nature between black men and white women. White women are obviously a little bit more receptive. They're a little bit more, open to certain things. They still kind of throw themselves at black men even after they pass their whole phase and whatnot and all that crazy stuff. But black women is just a little bit more difficult, and it is shown. But it's still, though, there is options. I am advocating. I'm me myself. I'm definitely looking for a nice black woman to settle down with myself. So I'm not out here just saying that it's all bad, because it's definitely not. And there are problems with the whites as well. For the fact that you could be everything that she wants, but the family will still look at you any type of way anyway. So there's still discrimination within the family. You know what I'm saying? A white chick taking you to meet her family may not be always as receptive, because her brother, it might be a neo-Nazi or might be friends with neo-Nazis. And you got to kind of look over your shoulder, the stereotypical jokes. Hey, I don't even want to get into it, but the stereotypical jokes are there. So we can't just look past the fact that Bronny may not be subjective. But that's what I was talking about in the beginning, though. When you grow up around these type of people and see all these type of things, you're sort of pressured into making certain decisions that are acceptable amongst these type of guys. But if you grew up around a bunch of, black people and whatnot, the blacker culture, you're not really so limited to just being like, yo, that these are my only options. At least, you have a little bit of a variety. Because that's what the black culture is. Black culture is, it's omnidirectional, you know what I mean? But if you're growing up in a predominantly white school, it's like, yo, Jared's sister is hitting on you, and she's one of the hottest girls in the school, and it's a predominantly white school, very few black kids there. You're gonna say no to, what I'm saying? It's like, no, you'll think about it for some time, even though you probably might like that black chick. But it's like, yo, the peer pressure is what I'm trying to say. The peer pressures is what a lot of these young kids kind of fall victim to. Financial peer pressure is what a lot of grown-up folks fall victim to. You want to be accepted in certain circles. The social dynamic on social media and just the average everyday level of success. You want to be accepted by everyone and everything. I've kind of, me personally, I've stepped back from all that, as I wrap up my 30-minute segment and whatnot that I like to do. I don't like to be on here rambling and talking for hours on end. It's not that I can't do it. It's just that, I'm not looking to be on here talking your ears off and shit like that. But mostly, though, the social dynamic always applies pressure on the people to make certain decisions that either jams them up or puts them in a certain light. And if you're not confident in yourself to make certain decisions that I believe you feel comfortable with, then you'll always be in uncomfortable situations. You know what I'm saying? You'll always find yourself second guessing your decisions and shit like that. And that's the thing. I had to step away from a lot of people. I had to step away from a lot of scenarios and circumstances where too many people are doubting, guessing, tippy-toeing around decisions about how they should do certain things, whether or not they should do business with certain people and shit like that. And I say fuck all that. Hey, if you want to date if you're a black man and you're getting better success with a white woman, go ahead and date that white woman. If you're getting more success with that black woman, it will look good to society, right? But go ahead and date that black woman. I know this one dude. He said, "Oh, I just had to get a mixed baby." So the nigga went out of his way to slay a white chick and have a kid with her just so he could say he has a mixed baby, just so she could have certain texture or hair or eyes or something like that. He wanted to play Dr. Kevorkian and create himself a certain child, even though he's gonna raise her in a broken home. Like, these are the type of decisions that are sometimes being made by certain people that are just dating, mixing and shit like that. They have no real obligation to actually bettering the optics of black love. They just do it. Some people just do it out of the sense of just doing it. You know what I'm saying? Some people just think that it's cool to be out here mixing and shit like that. And hey, man, if you get better success one way or the other, I guess go with the best favorable option. Me personally, though, I like to sit down, do the math, and actually calculate where I'm gonna go with certain things. If I want this result, how am I gonna get that result? You know what I mean? I've always told myself I wanted some beautiful black babies and whatnot. I want to settle down with a nice black woman, and that's why I'm planning personally to probably go I'm gonna even go as far as going straight to Africa, going straight to the motherland, or going to Trinidad, back to Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? And find me something nice, something nice and chocolatey over there. Well, I'm not just gonna settle for the pressures and norms of society. You know what I'm saying? I'm a contributor to society as well, so I'm gonna stand up and make the decisions that I feel is right for me, and that's what I'm trying to say to y'all. Is Bronny wrong? At the end of the day, is Bronny wrong? At the end of the day, I don't think he's wrong. Personally, in my decision, I think, yo, man, if that's where you're finding the most success, motherfucker, do that shit. Do that shit. If this is what you mathematically sat down and calculated, nigga, do that shit. Me personally, like I said, I like to sit down and do the math, and I want certain results, and I'm gonna work on doing that shit. Because I think it's only right. I'm doing myself a disservice if I don't. And you shouldn't do yourself a disservice either. At all. I know certain Spanish people I got with black chicks just to say that their children is black because they couldn't have any success with any Spanish chicks. I guess it's a lot of self-hatred. And sometimes I think that might be the case too, why certain people make certain decisions, but that's a whole different topic, a whole different optic. They don't really see themselves of value to make the decisions that they want to make, so they don't value their counterpart, so they just say, you know what, I'm gonna just do what's being asked of me. Who knows, man? Who knows what's going through the psyche of the mind of that young man? All I can say, man, is to stand on your square, find out what works best for you, make the decisions based on how it could better your life, and if being with whoever it is that makes you happy betters your life, so be it. Fuck what society thinks. They could drag you through the mud, but are they paying your bills? I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Do society write you a check saying, hey man, this is from society? And even then, you know what I'm saying, is it worth it taking, payments from society if they're going to be scrutinizing you like this? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's definitely something to think about. Again, these are just my thoughts, my perspective, whether I'm right or wrong, I will always stand strong on my opinions and views. I'll be able to debate with y'all, but I'm still growing my YouTube channel, so I appreciate everybody that stopped through, kick it, rock it with me. Make sure to check out the website, Trap Politics TV, trappolitics.com. Don't type that all out. The website is trappolitics.com. Thank you for watching Trap Politics TV, though. And until next time, I'm going to catch y'all on the flip, man. Peace, love, and prosperity to you and yours out there. And I'm gone.